People of the LGBTQ plus community have always existed. It was just that in the past, there was not really a word to describe it, such as the word homosexual. With that, words like the FA slur, faggot, did not exist, which in today's world is meant to dehumanize people of the community, and is usually followed by violence. But why do words like these exist, and how can they be stopped?
In 12th century France, meaning joy, like in the song Deck the Halls. The FA slur has a more complicated history, first meaning a bundle of sticks, which is why cigarettes are called this in the UK. The slur's first use as a derogatory term was towards women, and then towards anything presenting feminine, or sissy, according to the Oxford Dictionary. Then, coming into America in 1914 as a slur, its popularity rising in the 1960s, especially during the Stonewall riot.
I think that the reason words hold a lot of power, especially a negative or derogatory term, is for two reasons. One, because to a degree, the community who the words are being used against, we allow that to happen. But at the same time, it's because the outsiders are trying to assert power, so they find words or ideas associated to a word to create and maintain a degree of power.
Words do not have power until a person decides and gets at least two people to agree with them, says Professor Aragones. Words can potentially carry power and cause extreme violence. This is the case for this FA slur, as well as the J slur used in Mexico, meaning the same thing.
There have been multiple instances in which the use of this word has caused violence. For example, the assault of someone in New York on March 9th, where someone was being beaten while the slur was yelled at them. Another case is a 30-year-old being kicked in the face after being called faggot. The use of the word and actions following have allowed the two instances to be considered hate crimes, and both assaulters were arrested.
This body doesn't fit their definition of normal, and so it has to be erased. Right? Like, they don't seem to think that it's such a bad thing to kill a transgender individual, and they just don't kill them. It's like overkill in many instances, right? Like, they don't just shoot them one time. They shoot them 10 or 11 times.
Language such as this has affected many people throughout history. The N-word targeting black people and wetbacks targeting Mexican Americans, but it has also been taken aback by some of these communities, especially visible in the black community, using the N-word now as a word of closeness or brotherhood. One word people of the LGBTQ plus community has taken and changed its definition from being used negatively to positively is queer.
Because when I was growing up with the word queer, it meant it was a derogatory term. It was an attack on your manhood as a little boy, right? Because little boys do this and little girls do that in terms of the gender-specific norms we're brought up with. So when I was a little boy, you're queer. Well, that you're hitting on me as a person, meaning you're hitting to put me down. Now, being older, but not that old, I think that I hear with friends and family that do identify as LGBTQ+, the way they use queer is different than how when I first heard it. So for me, it gives me the impression that that's a word that people said, you know what, you're using this to hurt me, but now I'm going to take it, and not to sound cheesy, but I'm going to turn it around and do this because it's empowerment.
But what about the FA slur? Can it be taken back by the community, or has it already? Well, Dr. Montelongo says that people in the community sometimes use it in a friendly way. It can only possibly be seen as a threat when it is used by someone not in the community, directed at somebody who is.
I've seen a gay man's expression when a straight man calls him a fag. Then it's like, you're insulting me. You know, you're not in the space where you can play around with me that way. You're insulting me. So,
though the slur might be continuing to be used as a derogatory term, it might just one day become non-existent. But even with that, another word can gain popularity. That is how the world of words work. The things the community can do is educate others on the word and why it shouldn't be used. Word of mouth is the greatest tool that people for centuries have used and can be beneficial even today.
Reporting for Borderzine, I'm Adam Regalado.